Virtus.pro going up versus MNM, the Marshmallows themselves. They made one heck of a comeback yesterday versus M80. Virtus.pro, however, coming off the back of a loss. How much do you think that's going to end up impacting them, Jesse, heading into this?
I mean, we can already see behind us, Virtus.pro, these players, not known for popping off, not known for the energy that we just saw from Scars, but still a bit of a solemn tone for them at the moment, right? 2 losses in a row now. They are certainly not feeling fantastic coming into this game, but hey, they still got one more chance. Swiss has 3 losses in a row, and they're up against their European rivals, MNM. These 2 teams actually didn't play each other in stage 1. They were in different groups. However, if you go back through the history books long enough, it has been exactly 1 year and 1 day since the last time that MNM beat a Virtus.pro roster, 4 different players, but still, a bit of history may suggest that Virtus.pro will come out on top here.
Now, for the side of VP X, coming off the back of a 2-7 loss versus G2, things are not looking too hot over in the VP camp right now. And I know we were talking about it a little bit earlier. The energy is certainly there for the side of MNM, but it seems to be a little bit lacking for the side of VP. So what are they going to look to do heading into this best of 3?
I mean, VP are never really sort of an energy-based team. They're very understated, and they usually let their play in the server do a lot of the talking. You won't really see much sort of whooping and hollering out of these 5 players. That being said, they are coming in off the back of a couple of losses, and we've already seen so far in the competition what that does to teams where we have opposite ends of momentum.
Yeah.
MNM, I imagine, they're still riding the high from last night. I know I am. I know it was a fantastic series. I'm sure that, you know, but they've got to put that firmly in the rearview mirror now because they can't look too heavily onto it. On the flip side, VP, as you've said, coming in off the back of a loss, the first 2 days that they've had inside of the tournament, they didn't translate. They were fantastic on the opening pick. They were devastating. 100% success rate on converting that round when they got the opening pick. And then it slowly but surely started to fall off. Now, we always expect that in those sort of stat lines, but not to this degree, right? That game versus G2 yesterday, it was a little bit of a problem, especially given how close that game was and how much G2 struggled back in the qualifier.
Now, obviously, VP have a wealth of experience with all of these best of ones, but now it is do or die. It's now or never for both of our teams here. Elimination as well as qualification once again. Best of 3. Talk to me about this, boys.
Wow, we start on Chalet, picked by MNM. A very good Chalet team, undeniably. 3-game win streak at the moment and a 9-1 record through Tier 1 competition. That means no open qualifiers. And if you include everything, if you include like UKIN and CL from 2 years ago, they've got an 18-1 record on this map as an organization. They've lost it once ever. They are extremely dominant on this map. A little surprising that it got through the first couple of bans.
I mean, it has to, right? Because VP have got such a small map pool. There's 4 maps that they don't want to play. So if we look at what gets removed, we see the maps that they've got to leave that Chalet in. There's no other opportunity for it. And then you look a little bit further down, and this is where MNM, in my opinion, stack up quite nicely against VP inside of the map pool. Because then we start to go to something like Villa, which while it's a good map for VP, and we saw them do a great job against Wolves way back at the start of the week, that's also a decent map for MNM. So there's nowhere that VP can go here, in my opinion, that's going to guarantee them a map, therefore making it even more of a difficult series.
Well, I think it's about time we get map number 1. Ready? You ready?
I'm ready.
You ready? All right, let's do this. Happen. Fluke, take us through it.
Thank you very much, and yeah, I'm ready. You ready?
I'm very ready for this EU shootout.
It's good and it's bad. Obviously, an EU team is going to succeed. Yay.
Yes.
An EU team will fail. Boo. But that's the nature of the beast, because when you send this many teams this far forward, someone's got to come
Suffering from success.
Suffering from success. The EU story. In some eras, and well, this is the start of maybe this. MNM's continued era of battling throughout this tournament. VP, 2 great first maps, 2 weak second maps, in terms of the 4 games they've played in Copenhagen. So far. MNM have played about 100 maps at this point.
Yeah, MNM has been having quite some runs so far. To still stick through it.
They've played 14 maps.
14 maps?
14 maps. They didn't actually play 100 maps.
A lot of maps. Well, I mean,
I'm sorry to lie to you.
Surely they've played 100 maps during the major.
Yeah, well.
But some of them are scrims.
Yeah.
So not all of them are official. Look at that. Giant MNM plushie together with small MNM plushie.
It's doing its best.
Doing its best. Like, do not talk to my son ever again.
If you're playing against MNM, This is a lesson to anyone that might end up in this situation, and you're in a ban phase, and Chalet's available, they'll pick it. That's just how it goes. You expect it, you know you're gonna find yourself there. As they said on the desk, their win record is ludicrous, and it's not always clean wins, let's be honest. We've seen them throw 1 versus 5s that I'm sure they're irritated we keep referencing, but it was very funny.
Wasn't it against Always?
It was, I
5A
I believe so. I believe so. And obviously there was reference to when these teams have played before. The last time that we saw parts of this roster, it was, I believe, under the banner of Outsiders.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you know, that's when that clutch happened. The 1v5 in the basement from Always. Didn't win him the game in the end, but still shows there is opportunities to make MNM bleed. As we're quickly going through these last couple of bans, Azami removed, Yana removed, Dokubi removed. One more, Valkyrie, possibly, Mira. No, probably not. Valkyrie, there we go.
Gone. Remove the intel game. Yep, makes sense. The Dokubi, it's a consistent sort of pick away from some teams throughout this tournament so far. Great gun, great DMR, great power, great gunners. In the hands of the capabilities of MNM. You're looking at the sort of follow-through maps. Obviously, you got Villa and Skyscraper as the final piece. Now, in that ban phase as well, Cafe was an interesting point there, and I talked about it a little bit with Ollie earlier on the day, is Virtus.pro had the choice if they wanted to go to Cafe or Villa. They did not have a cool time on Cafe yesterday.
No, so probably want to be avoiding that, not find themselves in that same kind of situation.
Yeah, got rid of it. Play Villa, where it's technically a weaker map for them, but
at least they do not have that, you know,
it's the risky. Yeah, it's the risky double down. And obviously MNM played Sky yesterday, lost it, but it couldn't have been closer. 7-8 max OT. MNM also had, a very long game yesterday.
It definitely did.
Let's all just take a moment and hope that we don't have to go through some of the curses.
No, I don't
plagued us yesterday.
Let's not go for that many tech rehosts.
Touch wood.
Touch wood. Is this wood? I don't know. There's wood on the side of the desk. Touched it. There we go.
Okay, we start here on Chalet. MNM lead on their attacks here, and it's not the worst thing in the world, to be honest. They're a team that enjoys attacking, and it's a map that enjoys being attacked. You have a lot of play space you can sort of build yourself around, and with Tyrant getting some quick clear work done, the Claymore set up underneath, the potential stretch coming into the car garage already. This is a first pick site, isn't the most common, and MNM seem like they want to strike fast.
Usually we have the top floor, maybe even the basement as the very first site to be chosen, and now a bit different here. It's going to be the kitchen, the dining area. Things that are horizontal, but also the top floor are going to be quite important. Some pings are already starting to come down onto players holding power positions out on that top floor. As you know, that needs to be cleared out first. You want to be opening up, and as they would, and start opening up towards the site itself. Shock drones coming out to try and find some utility. Spots a shield. Might be able to see some players out there as well, but not what it's looking for. It's taken out before it does any damage, and that means that those yokai drones are still safe.
Everything has felt purposeful at this moment in time. There's been a lot of movement, a lot of direct routes. Everyone's being either hot droned or is hot droning themselves with their face. There's pressure from MNM towards objective, towards positions, most importantly towards the VP players that have just pulled back. They've sort of had some territory under their control. We've had some questions of the holds that have been done up here by Russian teams before, where they sort of hand over box. They give it towards their opponents. That wall to your right, as you saw, is completely locked up this time. They're actually going to open it, Solotov. They have the stretch, the Echo drone on the way out the door, and, well, it forces those bedroom players further and further back.
Yes, just making sure that they feel uncomfortable in the meantime. The actual side is being opened up as well towards the dining area. Allow them to start looking for a potential plant later on. That's a yokai drone that just been spotted. That's a chase going on right here with a Twitch drone trying to find it. Oh, he misses the first shot. Going after it again. Misses it twice.
No points.
Yokai drone still alive. Grenade coming through though. Might find the entry kill. Actually just bounces short.
Solotov does go down though. I think that was against Joystick. But in the meantime, they hop in the back of the site. Shepard caught out by users. He's not concerned about the swing to his left and his right because he's able to win him out. Joystick still gets the end of a player. Solotov gets finished off. 2 players, 2 kills each, with Naif getting Dan now. Finally someone breaking that trend. Nello's just going to smoke himself in and go for the plant buried in the back of the site. Joystick's on his third for the round. He does not have much health. Always is looking for the engagement. It's too far out, and Joystick's hunting above. They have vertical. Do they know about Always? Now they do. Nello gets the drop. Joystick in the opening round of this map would have to try and pull off the ace with the 2K at the end as the clutch in a post-plant situation with probably about 2 HP total. Caught on a drone. On the rotate, it's happy to sit pre-placed. They know exactly where he is. They know exactly when he's going to make a motion. That was pretty unwinnable, even for the Cyborg.
That was indeed not looking very likely to be won out there, especially since, you know, the plan went down. They had the opportunity to try and get the thermite after that, but as soon as you miss that opportunity, you have one more person, 2 HP left. It's possible. It's not like it's never been done before. It's just looking very unlikely, especially with the information out there. An open planting position that was used as well, with all the walls opened up. What a good shot down there onto Always. MNM, they find themselves their first round. Not the most convincing, but definitely having a bit of comfort out there. It's not like, you know, they were stressed against time. It was just that VP were fighting back. They were not giving away the space for free like they might have wanted to, which made it closer than it was. Now we're headed towards Bar and Games. And the first floor site we're headed to. Not going to the top yet, not going to the bottom yet. And here we have these important kind of strongholds on the top of Blue, near the fireplace, making sure that you can have library under your own control.
5 seconds left before
It does seem that I didn't touch it hard enough. Let me just
Oh
continue.
no, why did you say it?
I'm sorry, I'm continuing tapping right now.
Why would you say it?
I'm sorry.
This is your fault.
I take all responsibility for this.
Sorry, I had to get that out.
It is what it
I
is.
had to get that off my chest. The worrying thing is,
What's the worrying thing?
our analysts, our host, our wonderful team actually sit with us, not with us directly, but on the set. And every time there's one of these problems, Jasmine has stolen one of the M&M plushies, and is
She's very proud of it.
every single time that there's going to be a tech rehearsal, I'm going to blame a different person that's sat on the set.
All right.
So they better hope that there's no more, because people will be unjustly called out by me. Then I'm going to go for the social media team. I'm going to go for everybody.
Production.
Production.
Where do we end? Who's the last person responsible?
Me. The buck stops with me. Which is like the opposite of how that phrase. Okay, quick rehost. You all saw it on the screens.
Yeah.
We'll hopefully get this.
And I mean, we've just played that one round, so there's not too much to go off yet. However, what we do know is that these teams, they have a habit of knowing each other. They've played each other in their regional leagues that they have in the past, and probably have been scrim partners as well for the past couple of months. And that means there's always that little bit of extra knowledge, which makes these games usually a lot more close than you might otherwise expect. We're waiting for the issue to be resolved. It is just a matter of staying calm right now. Because all these players, they get into their focus, they get into their zone. These kind of technical breaks do really pull you out of that. It's sometimes what we mention for tactical timeout. Stop the momentum. But that's done on purpose. These are not. And hit both the teams.
There's not much we can really.
No, there's not much we
Not
can
much
do.
we can really add right now. We
What's that?
can't really break down. As we said, we saw a single round.
Breakdown.
We can go to lobby watch. It's like bird watching, but it's what we do when we watch the other screen.
See who's joining in.
You guys at home, you live in a one-screen world.
We have
A one-
multiple.
We have so many screens.
So
Well, we
many
have two.
screens. Well, we have more.
We do have more screens,
Some do
but a lot of
just
them-
portray the same stuff.
And there's also the telestrators right next to us.
I don't know what's on the telestrator right now.
Massive. When they got this massive telestrator screen, do you think they knew that it would be mainly Jesse using it? It's
That would be
quite,
very comical.
quite small.
Yeah.
And used it.
And has also
Quite
very
small.
small.
Quite small.
We have to
Ollie
right next.
Isn't allowed to use it.
Yeah, no,
he
because
breaks
it's-
telestrators.
Blue screens them.
Blue screens them, as he did at SI.
It's
Untrustworthy.
one of the best pictures.
Anyway, the original point of this on my second screen, we can see that we're getting 1 or 2 players back into the lobby. We'll keep you updated as it gets closer and closer and closer. Now, I'm going to pick your brain, Mr. Hap.
All right.
Senor Happers.
Go ahead. Senor.
Do you believe, and obviously there's been big conversation about the way Virtus.pro have come into this tournament, and the first 2 maps, as I said, were fantastic, and they were playing a game that nobody else was playing. They were playing old school. They were playing slow and steady, close to a 20-second execute style system, and it went really, really well, and then it went not so well. Do you think people have started to pick up on classic VP game style?
I mean, it is what we expected to happen at some point, right? Like, when we were at the European League, we saw that there is a playbook available that works against it. Just that other teams weren't quite able to implement that to their full gameplay potential. And that kind of left us with, it is counterable. There is a way to stop this quite effectively. Just teams are not prepared to play with it. But it's like, further you come in a tournament, the bigger of a threat you start becoming, and teams indeed will start to pick up on how to exactly stop you in your tracks. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot more teams have taken a look at Virtus.pro and realized, oh, these are the weaknesses. Waiting for 20 seconds, that's kind of not done nowadays.
No.
So let's start playing into that a bit more. Start stalling them out a bit more on the actual site. And it worked wonders. Not for VP, but for the opposing teams.
Well, this is the thing about VP as well, is it raises the follow-up question, is obviously the second map that we're going to, regardless of what happens on this first, is Villa.
Yes.
The map where we saw Virtus.pro handily defeat Wolves as a 7-1.
Yes.
And that was the sort of game where afterwards people were like, they're back. They're back. The Cyborg and co, they're here. And it's that idea of, if we're going back there, and the idea of, has their game been a little bit more guessed? Do you think Villa will be almost like a demonstration on how you can prepare against a team?
It's hard to say, because Villa is like naturally already a slower map than most.
It is.
So it is more often that you come down to like the final 30, 40 seconds before you actually do manage to get a push down the road. I still think that VP have a very good opportunity of showing what they're worth on that map. Same goes for Chalet, by the way. I'm not saying that's written off.
Oh, we're 1 round in.
We're 1 round in,
right?
It's like, it's difficult. Like, I kind of hope that we're gonna have this back and forth series where we see both MNM succeed massively, but also VP showing why they have been runner-ups. At least the players have been runner-ups. Have been champions or something.
Major Copenhagen.
Yeah, that's what we're playing for here.
We're starting to see excited posts of people arriving into Copenhagen on social media. Hey, we've arrived! Not into Copenhagen, actually into a ski resort.
Yeah, it's
Where is it? France?
this is, I believe, in the Alps, yes.
The Alps. That makes sense. If you go skiing in EU, usually.
Yeah, you go to the Alps.
Okay, so the rules on a rehost in this situation, same site, same defensive operators. It was during the attacker pick phase, so attackers could change and change up if they wanted to. Yada yada blah blah blah. We're back in the game. We're back in the game, and MNM were able to get their first round, not for joystick not wanting them not to.
He definitely did his best.
He was trying very hard. Triple kill over the top, still held vertical. The coverage of the smoke, the play there by MNM is sort of the demonstration of why they're a great Chalet team. I said it at the time, everything was well paced. They just kept on moving and kept on moving. And it's one of the reasons I love Chalet, is because it becomes such a fluid map. It's so sort of that great combination of claustrophobic at the best bits, but also so intense at the specific points. The double up, the roll through of the drone. Nave's going to get hot droned around the corner. Are they going to just go short and sharp towards the wall here onto stock?
They probably will. Just to open that up, make sure that stock is going to be somewhat unplayable. But look at that shield. It's going to get blown up. No, it's not. So there is at least going to be an extra bit of protection out there. They thought that through. And this is one of those counters that was first brought out by NA teams, then started to be adopted by others as Tyrants struggling a little bit here with the first gunfight. He's hoping to find. Finds the kill, takes him out. And that's Warden gone.
Head of Pasha removed and swing onto the split doorway there. And, well, that's the first body, this time into the favor of MNM. And, okay, technically, they didn't get the first in the last time Virtus.pro, but they got the down and they could have secured it, but they looked for the second fight anyway. Here, though, it's a clean take. clean fight. Nobody's downed. Nobody's picked up immediately after in the following 7 seconds. MNM can do this. Restructure, send in the Flores drones, roll the boys in against the wall. They might not get that shield. They do not.
Went for a try, might have some other opportunities to go for it. Still 2 extra RC heroes left in pocket, but definitely going to be aware of the fact now that you're going to try and take out that shield. I mean, it's been placed there for a reason. MNM now need to work around it. Gone 6 gets used, removes that shield, and now there is a bit more pressure onto stock, and that means they cannot freely play in there anymore.
But with a minute on there, it has definitely wasted a lot of time here. MNM have had to not play costly rotates, but rotate themselves to a new position, and really pulls the wind out of your bow. Ooh! So does that. Solotov surgically removes joystick from the small box up top. You can see Dan's trying to put some pressure back over as the drones are rolling inside the site here. The intel game on this map specifically is a nightmare. You think of all the little nooks and crannies you can hide these drones in, and they're utilizing that perfectly. The hot pings on the player, the pressure over the top. There's the drop all the way around. They cannot quite get the full swing. They're blinded. Dan's got the shotgun, but he doesn't want to just risk the death on the swing. So he does go down. Solotov's able to get one more. A post plant for the 2nd time in the row. A bit of a late swing on a C4, doesn't quite get the execute as it's shot out. Always does find Tyrant, and they bite their way back into the site itself, playing over. Then onto the jukebox, but you've got the player on the kit. You've got the upside down rappel above. You've got one more that's outside the double window. One more double stacked onto him. 20 seconds. What do you do? Unfortunately, not much.
Have to say, I really appreciate Nello's movement there. Some might not have seen it, but as he puts down the fire, he jumps in the window, is getting shot at by a player close on the door, but he trusts his team to have the cover. So what does he do? Instead of taking a fight, he just continues on, goes for the plant, even though all he had to do was just one step around the corner, get the shotgun in there, and he would have been done for. But the cover out there from Solotov on point, and Nello getting that diffuser down shortly after. That is trust inside of MNM, and that is something you need to have if you are getting this late into the tournament.
Medics, my good friend, my good pal, my good buddy. I don't know if you're observing this game. What is yes in Croatian?
Attackers have discovered the location.
Da, I plant. Da, I mean...
Getting both observers in now.
Very short, very sharp. All right, but you're exactly right. They trusted the team, they trusted the cover, the coordination to remove. As I said, it wasted a lot of time. That shield, we saw pretty much 3 attempts on towards that position. The first, they didn't know the shield was there, fair enough. They saw the shield, they couldn't get it with the Flores drone. So plan 3 was in place. It's good to have that adaptation. They did get through it probably about as quickly as you can. However, shows that not even just wasting time can be the deterrent to MNM. You've also got to waste the players.
And also one thing to notice about that is that it wasn't taking long. It wasn't taking 2 minutes to go through those 3 options, right? Like, people were ready to just follow up quickly enough where they weren't wasting utility, but making sure they got it open up as quickly as they possibly could. And that really did save them a couple of important seconds out there. Basically secured stock. No one could play in there anymore, and that allows Nello to go for the plant later on. So it all just worked towards that one goal, getting that diffuser on the ground, which they've done successfully twice now, MNM. So you can really see what kind of a game they're focusing here. Not just killing the entire enemy team. No, it's getting that diffuser down on the ground and force the defenders to come towards you.
Oh, they love skiing. MNM as a roster, they adore Chalet in here as they're going for the pressure onto the general more standard wall, you'd say. You try and collapse over the top, but as we pointed out before, they're very good at rotating around and finding out their alternate options. It's just, well, let's try and put some take onto the opposite end. The pressure wasn't the plant originally down below, but they still opened up that pressure. They still got the extension done early on. Slight changes here, obviously a single soft and a rotate round into the back end, but they're still going to open up the width. I don't think there's an impact coming against it. No, there isn't. VP players just pull back, and I said that before, it was a bit costly. Oh, they did get the impact off in the end, or that might have been shot from underneath, actually.
Yeah, I think that's indeed the case. Now the exothermic is going to go in as well. The impact will not get it, actually. I think it's been tricked off, yeah. So it's the exothermic that got taken out. It's the actual Selma that blew up afterwards. And now a smoke grenade is going to be used to at least stop them from trying to go for another impact trick, as Tyrant missing some opportunities for the first kill here.
They hop for the rotate, as one of them does take a little bit of a follow-up fight, but as Nath gets joystick, they're able to at least pinch a kill. 50 seconds on. Dan is steadily falling further and further down the stairs and always catches Usus out just on the final swing. Solotov finds Pasha. It's this continued blow for blow. As soon as they have that vertical, the fight is everywhere. All 10 players become invested and involved, and there's not really anyone that is categorically safe. They want to see if they can try and get this pressure. The drone is caught out. Always didn't want to take the risk on the fight. He's playing a very aggressive position.
Dan is going to go for a big rotate, though. He's already gone all the way down to the snowmobile stairs, and that means if they want to go for a similar kind of plans right behind the table like they did before, he might be able to strike and take him down as they do. But Nello's on the opposite side already. He's about to be swinging on to Always here. They know he's in West Main, takes him out as well. And now Dan is on the opposite side of the map. He gets one is stuck in the frost mat. It's a 2v1 right now.
Oh, the Razor Bloom finishes off the frost mat player. Nello's going to see if he can try and plant, but Solotov goes with a gun. Puts the end to the round. The first time we haven't had the confirmed kit before things have gone, but still, there's a lot there that it's not entirely being brushed aside by VP. You saw the rotates, you saw the fight. Nello being able to win 2 off the pressure from Solarium Stairs. It's almost like that horror film. From the perspective we had it is sees their friend fall from this gunfire and waits there. They've got the window behind them. We had the idea someone might be rotating around, which was eventually Nafe, who died in the frost mat. But Nello just swings, takes the fight, and I mean, if you need your players to show up, now's the time. We are a bit deep in a tactical timeout. There's only about 15 seconds left.
They've taken a timeout, 3 losses in a row right now. They realize they need to turn this around quickly. They cannot let MNM get away with like a flawless half right now, because that is just going to be hurting them later on. It's really going to be feeding into MNM as well as they head into the next half. So they need to slow it down, need to talk a little bit. And a different site will be chosen. We're not going gaming. We're not going to go towards the dining. We're headed towards bar. Oh, actually, back to bar gaming. They were about to swap it back to the basement, but they've changed their minds last second to go for a different site.
It's that problematic thing. And as I sort of highlighted before, it's not just about MNM playing a blinder. It's not just about them having it entirely locked down. Strategically and structurally, the Virtus.pro haven't been able to catch up. They're getting there, but I think their last round was one of the tighter ones, even though
the rotation was the right
2 versus 1. That's it, the rotation, the movement, they're the right decisions, but it's not, it's like you're putting in 70%, they're putting in 90%, and they're doing the same in the gunfights as well. We're not seeing a response to Solotov sitting 5-0, to Nello sitting 3-0. It's the famous phrase, if Nello is fragging, it's either a really bad game for MNM,
or everything is just going
or everything's just going right. And so far, I think you'd go with everything is going right. Solace playing on the top floor, and a change I love to see. I adore Solace on Chalet.
I mean, you said it before, like, there's so many places you can hide these drones. It's just problematic. So much information can be gained. And bringing the Solace really gives you the opportunity to take out those drones, make sure they're not too troublesome for you later on. Leave on the back of it. And at the same time, you can basically use Solace to be a better roamer. You can see where the drones are coming from. You can either choose to hunt them down or to let them live and basically try and dodge them to the best of your capabilities. And strike is a surprise. As we see right now, it's MNM attacking again, but it doesn't seem to be like the same kind of attack because stock hasn't been opened up. They're going to go for a different approach this time around, and that means that at the same time, VP, they need to go for a bit of an adaptation. They might have called a counter directly in what happened the last time around, which just isn't happening right now.
Well, that Tyrant just reloaded pretty much everything on his way around to the window. If Pasha has still gone uncontested or unchecked, just on the little tuck at the top of the catwalk, well, that could be problematic if anyone goes for the pressure onto the window. Oh, the pressure's coming onto the window. Nave gets one, Tyrant wins it out! And if anything, there's that sort of highlight on what I said before. The gunfights are just going against VP at the minute. MNM, they've had a sharp, strong serial, and they're making it turn into a sharp, strong performance.
All right, a 2-man entry. That's what they're working with right now. About 80 seconds as well to get that site under control. Now, there is still players around on the top floor that might be a bit problematic. However, they might be looking to try and either circumvent those angles that are being watched, or just send Tyron up the blue stairs and see if he can hunt one or two of them down before the rest of the team is starting to try and get that diffuser down, because they're aware of the fact that there is someone around on the blue stairs. Tyron just doesn't know if there's someone in the actual kitchen or / bar area that's watching him. Oh, he hears that probably.
Yeah, you can see that, you know, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of presence. He doesn't want to just hand them a kill here. He needs to time this with the rest of his team. There's 30 seconds left. I mean, at some point, they have to move just as much as he does. So they may as well be in a position to try and work it together. Nello wants to break their way through. You can see Solotov's making some moves in the far end. 28 seconds left, and Dan turns the goggles on to have a look towards the window. Nobody's come that way yet, but they have come up. The bottom of blue gets one before being traded out, always. Is at least able to get the refrag, but you've now lost the cover on those smokes. However, most of them have gone. There's only the Capital bolts and a couple in the pockets of Nello. They're going to go for the drop, caught instantly by Shepard. Solotov gets always, leaves just Shepard with 5 seconds. He's looking for the fight, but Nate finds it. And MNM, as I said, they're being more and more pressured by VP, but not enough.
They got closer, the diffuser was dropped to the side. It was just that lack of personnel left on the side of VP, so they couldn't really hold on. MNM did manage to take down the Warden, though. That was a little trade kill you saw happening onto the blue stairs. I think that was a win for MNM in that case, because if there was Candela still popping, if there was still a smoke canister out there, you wouldn't have been as vulnerable as you otherwise would have been. So they basically started to take control, but because they didn't open up the stock wall this time, a player could play that for free. And it shows how strong that position is. If you drop through a hatch, if you drop through the window, you will be seen and you will be shot at. And that's exactly what happened out there. Now, MNM managed to get away with it this time. Probably for like the first time they weren't trying to, well, you know, last round they were trying to put the diffuser down, but they killed them right beforehand. This time the diffuser was down, so a completely different kind of victory to come through.
And a completely different kind of sight to come through as well.
That as well.
They're not going to see if they can make either the kitchen or the bar stick. They're sick of the food and the drink, and it's time to go to bed. They head up to the top floor. They're going to
Early, isn't it?
rest their heads. I mean, to be honest, if you've been smashed around for 4 rounds,
You would like to go to bed, is it?
probably take a bit of a break.
Small nap, see if that will lend them around at least. That's still what they're looking for. Just 1, maybe 2 rounds. Find themselves in a good opportunity to fight. But at the same time, they also know, they're also aware of MNM's record. Might not actually fully expect to win this map.
It's that strange sort of thing of when you come to a map that you know a team like this very much enjoys, and you've seen it a lot. It's not that MNM is cautious. They're like, yeah, cool, Chalet. All right.
And no doubts there.
No doubts, and it shows in their play. It's the most confident they are. You have it as the opening here on a best of 3. But, you know, as we said, we've already seen the tech timeout. They are on their defense, and this map lends itself well to attackers. However, the longer this goes on, the more disheartened we're going to see VP in their second map. Stole the big camera in the fireplace. Can they get anything else? No.
There's going to be some information to be given away if, you know, Pasha doesn't actually fire at the camera. So it's going to be able to give just constant information. And now at E1D as well, is going to be popping Pasha's exact position as he's falling back towards Piano. Joystick falling back as well in blue. They are, or seemingly are, aware of the fact that there is someone down below. Users actually wanted to go for a bit of an attempt out there, but Joystick wasn't quite as far through the wine cellar yet. We'll be able to safely rotate up towards West Main now. It could be potentially reinforcing the side itself.
We might have another one of those slightly later executes here. You can see that they're trying to weigh up just where the catch might be from. Smash through the angle for the rotate. There's the Echo drones that can still try and make their way around as the Flores is just going to do a little bit more of that deconstruction inside the site. Now, the Echo drone is the response. It is a no man's land. The core and the plant on box right now. Dan cannot win out. Solotov, he's gone the reverse James Bond. Doesn't seem like he wants to stop anytime soon. The grenade over the top doesn't quite catch anybody. The Echo camera does get caught. However, they're going for the break onto the site. They're opening up onto the balcony at the same time. This is flat pressure as Solotov into Piano, led by the Flores drone. The worst possible timing for him there. He wants the gunfight. He finds one more. Can he keep the pressure up? The canister pushes him back. The grenade is going to be that response. Tucked around the corner. Doesn't quite get the full fight. The Flores drone in the chaos as Nello goes for the plant, and Solotov for a triple on the round. Cannot get it. Finally dies. But almost getting into double digits before he can be removed off the board. Always gets a double. The brace for the round. The 3 versus 2 post-plant once again. MNM have been able to find some handle in the chaos. The sprays over, back and forth towards users who's tucked down. Obviously, joystick is down. Oh, and now they're out. MNM, 5 rounds in a row. This feels like a dominating, yeah.
I don't know what to say. It's again, like VP, they're trying to write things, that they're falling back when they get droned out, right? They're holding on to the strong positions as well. They're just losing the gunfights. And sometimes it can be as simple as that. I mean, Solotov just going amazing right here. Like, he's being shot at through the bomb chassis, just returns some shots. Spots the leg, starts pre-firing, finds a second as well, then goes deep and finds the smoke, through the smoke, before he finally gets taken down by Always. And, you know, if you have a player like that just popping off and then finding 3 kills to open up a round like that, you can have the best setup in the world, but it's not going to be stopping them from getting that plan down because you've just lost the entire backline.
5 in a row for MNM, and to be honest, after how long and how close the series was for them last night, being able to get in early here, early doors, and put this much pressure down this early, probably very good for them.
It's no longer 10 a.m. gaming, it's 4 p.m. gaming, you know? That's when they thrive. 4 p.m., able to get this 5 rounds in a row right now. Looking for one more. Themselves the flawless half. Quick hack, not being contested whatsoever by the side of VP. We also saw that they weren't quite actually hunting those cameras that have been activated. Oh no, not the Evil Eyes.
Oh no!
Missed the shot and couldn't get out in time because of it.
There is nothing funnier than Maestro cams and Echo drones being stolen. Apart from maybe a cap can where it hits a cap can.
I think like a Maestro camera is one of the most annoying things as well because it's just there, it's bulletproof.
You can't shoot it, they've got it.
They'll just randomly activate and start zapping you when something is happening.
You have to impact it, or you have to, you know, you don't have
punch it and remove the line of sight, but still open up at that point.
Even then. Tyrant puts pressure underneath, hopes to catch a rotate, but they're not going to give them that option of the fight. They're happy with the angle underneath, and Dan themselves keeps a bit of presence. They've handed over presence a couple of times here. What we've seen Virtus.pro do is, as I said, they sort of fall back. They don't entirely stop the fight, but it's rare, especially on this hold, especially on the side, when the pressure starts to come through. However, this is probably the most different take we've seen from MNM up to this point. They haven't opened up the wall itself onto box. They haven't, as far as I'm aware, opened up the wall onto the side. Instead, they're doing this, directly cutting across the back end. Noah's watching onto the fight. Nave suffers on the back end. They slink in. Users get Pasha in the meantime. And the reverse-sided take. Joystick goes down. Hit once again by the Solotov cocktail that is illuminating all of the flaws in these Virtus.pro holds. Always caught as well, and he cannot
is so painful.
Stop burning them. He is breaking and brandishing everything they try and throw at him. And he's worth 3 1s in his KD right now because he is pretty comfortably #1.
He's definitely gunning for the MVP for today. Shepard will find Nello, though. Has the Aldo. It's a great gun to try and clutch with. Goes for a second attempt at the Tyrant. It's a trade to come through as Dan finds one, but he's the last man standing now in a 1v3. He has some information to come through from the Evil Eye, but he needs to go for an attempt. Users will find him instead. And that is a flawless half to come through from the side of MNM on their own map pick, of which we, by the way, said is very MNM-sided, and I think they are showing why. And I wouldn't be surprised if for the rest of the tournament they're not allowed to play this map anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It seems pretty good so far.
Oh, this is a pretty good job by MNM. This is a pretty terrifying job. And you just can't fold it. As I said, there's been times where Virtus.pro have felt like they've tucked in. But it is just phenomenal. The sort of coordination, the collaboration between the players, the bloodlust as well.
This is a lot of that one.
It is just a fury that they are sort of laying upon them. They're going to start here, down on the basement. Haven't seen it yet, and you're about to talk about the Goyo that gets the player on the opposite side.
Shepard was about to be driving through with the drone, but it got blocked off by the Goyo. So they're going to have to blow that up first.
Who needs a mute jammer?
Yeah, who needs a mute jammer? You just put a Goyo pocket out there.
You know, the thing I really love about that Goyo as well is when it gets popped, the fire spreads to the other side of the wall. So if you're under a big bit of pressure, and it's something I learned from watching MNM, is if you're under a big bit of pressure, you pop that, and then they suddenly can't put it on the side of the breach. If you're bandit tricking, then you don't have to do both sides. It's a nice little adaptation towards keeping control if you're playing that bandit role.
It definitely is. So Nello, you know, he's playing that. He most likely will stay down below to make sure that that wall stays closed. And it's going to be a task for the side of Virtus.pro to open that one up as quickly as they can. And that's exactly what they'll be doing right now. It'll be the impact to come through. Any second now. From the lifeline, there it is. The fire spreads, and that means it's going to be only on one side to be opened up right now, unless they want to actually tank the damage. Shepard somehow is going to be able to get through it. I'm not sure. I don't think Nello actually got the trick down, but an impact trick came through from Nave through the drone hole and stopped it from happening, so somehow they still recover it.
That's it. They know how to play that wall. Joystick knows how to play that angle. They get a kill. Solotov gets one back. Pasha gone. He takes a lot of damage for it, but still, the importance is that he got the trade out. Pasha might leave this game without a kill. And as a player that is built on passion, a player that's built on momentum, it's going to be a very tricky one to try and get his head back in for the following one. Joystick. He was able to get the first and the start, and he's going to see if he can put a bit of pressure here across the top. Nave finds always just swinging up snowmobile stairs. Solotov's still loose at the top. Nello kind of wants to join him. There's the pings in the Jackal track. That's why they might be activating. That's why they might be leaning in and sort of saying, look, let's not let him just get the catch. There's yellow pings roughly towards where Nello is. Joystick wants to try and cut his way right towards snowmobile stairs. They're really angling for an idea, and you can see that he's eager to go for the fight, but they're not confident enough.
It's a bit of a bait, right? Like, as soon as the Jackal tracks are coming down and you have a player that far removed from the side, it's like, okay, let's try and cut down the entryways from the opponent to get to our player that is currently under pressure. And Hughes is still around, has a C4 prepped onto the actual wall from the kitchen. Nello gets taken down by Shepard, brings it back to a 3-on-3. The wall has been opened up as well, so it gives an opportunity to the side of Virtus.pro to make something happen here. But still, verticality is not fully under control. Hughes is still out here trying to challenge as he's being pre-fired. Might actually go aggressive on the swing right here. Spots a player, gets it down onto Dan, but wants to fall back quickly through that hatch, and that means Joystick cannot revenge him. And Dan thus will be down, but recoverable, most importantly.
You can hear the smokes popping off. 30 seconds, but Shepard cannot just push this alone right now because of the pickup that happened elsewhere. These smokes will dissipate in a moment's time, and uses dissipates Joystick through the soft floor. Shepard, as again, he pushes in, he pulls back, but at this point, the only thing he can really do is try and take a 3 versus 1, 3 different angles, and the first falls in what has been a monumental introduction to this best of 3 by MNM.
19-on-1 win streak to come through right now, so the record seems pretty solid for MNM. That's one map in the pocket. They still need one more to go on to phase 3. Will they get it? Well, let's go to a quick break to find out.
When you have two teams from the same region going up against one another, you're best friends. But in the server, you want that win. You want it so bad. Our two Brazilian teams in the grand final for the first time ever. Ninjas in pajamas!
Some tournaments you have a better feeling about winning, and that one, it was ours.
Our second Brazilian team, Team Liquid!
NIP was very well prepared. They were like top 1 team in Brazil.
It goes to Brazil no matter who wins it, but for NIP, it means a lot.
We lost to SSG a year before, and then we knew like in our hearts that this invitation we need to win, you know.
It was a very difficult time for us as a team.
It was pretty hard, like especially because of what happened to me at the moment. Like I lost my dad during the competition.
In that final, I think Liquid kind of won people's hearts because of the tragedy that had happened, but because they had also played incredibly well throughout the tournament and through the grand final. They gave us an incredibly entertaining game.
Sidecore goes big with 4 kills to push them over the line on Cafe, and that is going to be NIP 2-0 on maps. There you go, the kill comes in. He knew exactly where the man was coming from, and that's going to be Team Liquid taking our second map of Chalet. Palu, 1 second left to go. Diffuser goes down in the absolute nick of time, but Moringa, he gets a huge kill, Des! He gets a huge kill! We're going all the way to 5. We're going to find out who really is the best in Brazil. Palu cannot find the kill. Out comes the Nitro. Shot out by Pino. That is the round in 2020. Brazilian hearts were broken, but like a phoenix, NIP rise from the ashes to claim the hammer at the 6th Invitational 2021.
It was one of the best days of my life. I think we can compare that as a Brazilian team winning the World Football Cup.
I think winning the 6th Invitational was the best feeling ever I had.
Was the best moment of my life in the sports scene for sure. I was crying a lot. I was out of control.
We were very sad to lose, but we understood the limits of the team at the time, and we were very proud. But also it was very nice to see another Brazilian get a title.
After that SI, like I think it was a motivated thing to grow as a region and make it through a lot of other tournaments.
At the end of the day, everyone is just friendly. So yeah, we have a very nice relationship.
The friendships run deep, and it goes beyond shouting and cheering on stage. You know, all of that is part and parcel of this. It's a respect that is given and earned between these players.
It's an awesome feeling for everyone, you know, not just us. We win for everyone.
I remember things 7 years ago.
Naquela época, tudo era menor.
Mais en chacun d'entre nous, la flamme brûlait déjà.
Über die Jahre sind wir zusammengewachsen.
Y hoy son millones los que nos apoyan.
皆さんの応援は我々の原動力です。
Ve sevdiğimiz işi yapmamıza olanak sağlıyorsunuz.
และสิ่งเหล่านี้จะเป็นไปไม่ได้ถ้าหากเราไม่มีพวกคุณ
Devemos tudo isso a vocês.
Därför vill vi säga
Gracias.
Obrigado.
ขอบคุณครับ
Danke.
Arigato.
Kiitos.
Merci.
From the bottom of our hearts, thank you.
Well, fellas, I think it's safe to say that the marshmallows are looking pretty damn toasty, pretty darn good over there in the MNM side of things. What are you shaking your head?
No, it was great. It was great.
I feel like you're definitely judging me right now. But anyways, MNM managing to successfully win out on their own map pick over on Chalet. Now, I need you to explain to me a little bit. I'll start with you first, X. The fact that VP had ultimately left this map in the pool in the very first place, is that a little bit unheard of, a little bit unexpected?
You don't take MNM to Chalet. Where are teams going to learn this? There's 17 teams that have gone before this that learned the lesson, and VP have learned it as well. You do not take this team to Chalet. They are a nuisance. Now, that being said, VP, was it a better the devil you know situation? Because we've already said they've got a smaller map pool than MNM, so they had to go to something that they do not prefer. We could see there were elements here that VP were trying to counter. We could see that they were bringing things in certain positions, deployable shields getting played in certain ways. They knew what they were coming up against here. but it still didn't matter. It was still a 7-0.
Yeah, I mean, Virtus.pro, they make the call. They go to the best map for MNM, and they lose it 7-0. It's a best of 3, right? You're always planning to walk in, win your map pick, win map 3. That's always the game plan. So whilst this was an ugly game for Virtus.pro, series is not over. A little bit of a momentum boost for MNM, and they don't mind the second map coming up here either. But I do think that Virtus.pro, as long as they can keep their heads on, right, they're not freaking out about this, I think they'll be okay. This was a tough map. They played kind of poor, but, you know, that's why it's best of 3.
Now, do you guys feel like this is the VP that we've been seeing throughout the tournament so far in regards to their playstyle? Have we still been seeing the slow-paced VP coming on through, or did they change things up?
We've seen a fairly slow pace. We've also seen a VP that has an inability to win a gunfight. There were some shocking numbers getting thrown up by the players on Virtus.pro. On the flip side, Solo Solotov, he's back. Nath, he was popping off. Both of those players finished, I think Solotov finished 12-2, something in that sort of range. Nath, last time we checked, it was like 5-2. We're gonna get a bit of a read on it here. 7-1 even. So unbelievable performance from MNM, really winning those gunfights.
Yeah, if I can hype up a guy without crazy numbers, I think Nello played a fantastic start to this game as well. The plant focus coming in from MNM, running in, especially on that kitchen bomb site, getting in through fireplace, getting that kit down, getting the frags before he even does that. Thought Nello was making a lot of space for his team, thought he was doing a great job to start that off. And in general, the plant focus from MNM was very good on their attacks.
Now, Joystick, in previous games, was one of the star players coming on through for the side of VP, Jesse. What do you think has really changed between the Joystick that we'd seen before and the Joystick that we saw in that game?
I mean, the problem with Joystick this map is there were windows. The windows were a disaster for Joystick. We've got some highlights because there were more rounds in this game where Joystick was dying on windows than he was not. We'll see if we got the clips for you guys, because way too often Joystick was going down. It was rounds 2, 3, 4, and 6. He fell while playing on one of these windows, always being caught by the attackers. It was frustrating to watch from him. The Azami ban, a huge factor in that for MNM. Not being able to block that off with Akibas made it very difficult for Joystick to have strong angles. So unfortunately, Joystick continuously falling in that area. He tried the castle, I believe 1 round, 2 rounds maybe. Still didn't seem to save him, always being caught off guard there. And when your star fragger is being killed time and time again as the opening death from these windows, we'll see him now, it really does not go their way.
I think MNM knew this was coming as well. That first one's a bit of a ropey one. I'm surprised you've included that one there, Jesse. I think you might have done him a little bit dirty. But you can see it's a common trend. One of the great things about Chalet from an attacker's point of view is the ability to get kills from outside to in. You can get kills very safely, whether you're out on the rappel, whether you're hanging around on one of the roofs or one of the balconies. There are options for that. And we know that VP like to play quite slowly. We know that they like to move around a little bit. And MNM do a great job of funneling these defenders into power positions for them.
Now, talk to me about how we think VP are going to look to approach this Villa match coming up soon.
I mean, Villa, right, we had the first map very one-sided for MNM. Villa's not that bad for MNM either.
Yeah,
they have a 75% win rate on this map this year, and their only loss came to their own ISP. So I'm pretty good for MNM here. They've got the momentum, they like this map. Virtus.pro better have a good plan for Villa.
How are you feeling about this one?
Well, ISP isn't an issue because we're online, so that's a good thing. I'm feeling quite good. I think, you know, we talked about the momentum coming into this fixture. We spoke about how MNM are coming off the back of a really hot win yesterday. VP coming off the back of a pretty bad loss yesterday as well. Map 1 being a 7-0. Everything is just flooding in MNM's direction now for me.
Hap and Fluke, we've got the marshmallows here. Whether or not they'll be able to bring the side of MNM good luck, it's only a matter of time before we find out.
It is, and, well, luck. They made their own on Chalet, you cannot deny it. As Jesse said, though, it is a best of 3. You want to win both maps, the first 2. You expect to maybe have pressure and lose theirs, but losing it by that much, nobody expects that.
Let's not lose it, let's just not coming to play.
Yeah.
I mean, we're definitely there to play, don't get me wrong, right? But it's like, you just played 30 minutes and there's nothing there to show for it, right? So it's very painful when that happens to you. It really allows MNM to kind of start this off with a bit of an advantage out here, because they basically didn't have to show much of their playbook. They didn't really have to go to the complete depths of that round, of that map. Now they're going on towards Villa. It is a very more strategic kind of map than we usually see. It's also very slow. in terms of how it plays out. Slower than Chalet is, I would dare to say, in my opinion.
I think that's a fair thing to say.
Thank you.
I don't think you're too out of line.
You know,
too outrageous.
I'm just trying to make sure I'm not getting out of line too much, you know, unlike some other people sometimes with the hot take.
You do live safe. Nook, Thatcher, Zami and Kaid.
Yeah.
More bans to reflect the state of play of the map more than anything. You know, it's not specifically that there was a single player that was popping off on a thing. It's not a map to target ban.
No. And even if you would, I mean, Solotov, like, what was he playing? But basically everything, right? So there was no real like counter pick you could go against him as well, because one round he's on a Capcan, then he's on the Oryx. Like, he just continues playing as long as he has an SMG in hand. The man is absolutely on fire as we are headed towards Villa. We have our bans. With round number 1, we're starting off in the kitchen. A tertiary site we do not often see. I'm not 100% sure, by the way, has Library already been played? Living room? Is that one of the 2 sides that we're still missing? Has been played. Never mind. Okay, so it has to play once.
We're missing Skyscraper Bedroom.
Yeah.
And we're missing
10 seconds left before insertion.
Customs on border.
All right.
Yeah, Skyscraper Bedroom.
So those are the 2 sides. They're not here. That doesn't matter.
Yeah,
we'll get them later on.
We might get it in the 3rd map.
Yes, exactly.
That's down to Virtus.pro right now. And it'll start here with them continuing on their attack. Now, okay, this is probably the best way for this game to start for them, because if they went from 6 defenses and 1 attack into another 6 defenses, if anything, that might be harder to go on a reset, regardless of the map, regardless of anything. I'm talking generally, if this could have been any map, I think, and coming into sort of go, well, this is fresh for us. Anything that can remove you from what happened on the previous map, I think is a positive.
I think it's very important that they at least win one of the next 2 rounds, though, on the VP side of things, because if they don't, it is going to be looking pretty grim for them as they need to progress. That's the first gunfight taken. Small amounts of damage done to either side. Nothing really to worry about. Both will fall back, and they will continue later on.
Tyrant might be under a bit more pressure than he thinks. It's going over the top here towards, obviously, the hold around bathroom, around the bedroom itself. You clear that space, and then you can try and pressure those players further back, get the vertical, and then angle your way downwards. It's the method they're going to use here, and Villa's a hefty map. Even for this vertical, you have to start quite wide. Isolate the staircases, catch off those players. This Tyrant, as pointedly, hits that, goes for the staircase rotate, goes deep underneath wine to maybe try and pop up on red.
See, this is kind of the thing, right? Because they know that Virtus.pro is going to be taking their time. They're going to be doing everything they can to open up as much as they can before they go for an execute.
Yep.
If you still have that 1 player offside, which is right now Tyrant, and he has the opportunity to pop up on either of those 2 staircases behind him, that's going to be like an ace up their sleeves they can use to try and disrupt that push from Virtus.pro and really disrupt them as they want to go for that push. 1 minute and 5 seconds are currently left, and VP is slowly starting to get themselves close to the site. Pasha right now finds himself into the living room, hoping to find himself with the very first engagement as he's clearing out a lot of ground, spilling out a lot of angles as well. And it leaves him worried. He's checking everything, like, manically. He doesn't know where the push is going to be coming from. His Joystick takes a lot of damage, and Pasha gets taken down by Nello, hiding in mud.
Well, Joystick, he's taken a lot of damage there, as you said, over the vertical, the fight and the control for it. We've got 2 C4s used and blown. I think one is actually maybe still pre-placed. One is pre-placed. Even, yep. There's one still waiting. And that, obviously, with just a tickle, would be the end here of Joystick. He's got to play himself cautiously. He's one of the 2 options for the soft destruction over the top. They at least still have the sledge, but they only have 20 seconds, and there's 3 of them above the site right now. Bit of pressure onto Always. The blinds come across. Solotov gets 1 more onto Dan. That's the only pressure onto the site. The drop is caught, but traded instantly back. But 9 seconds. Always is left alone above the site itself. And, I mean, it's obviously not the start that you want. You said they were slow, but now it's 8 rounds in a row for MNM.
I think MNM picked this first site really smart, Em. Because what they did is like, okay, Aviator, you're into the site quite quickly, right? Like, you take study, you take some windows.
Yep.
And you're already on the side, or at least putting pressure on the side. If you look towards Trophy, you take the bedroom, you're already having pressure on the side. The kitchen is not like that. You need to take that full top 4 under control. You need to take some horizontal under control as well, and that just costs a lot more time. So MNM, knowing they have these 7 rounds in a row, decided to, okay, let's go to the site that requires the most work to be done. So they have a lot less time to actually go and formulate and execute. And they instantly stall out, they instantly get that round. Now they'll head over towards Aviator Games, but they have the 8th round in a row. And I said it, if they don't, like if VP do not win one of the first 2 rounds in this game, it might be going down to MNM really quickly here, just continuing onwards. And of course, Virtus.pro, very experienced roster. These players, they have tons of experience. They know what it's like to be behind. But still, with all that experience, it's going to be in your mind. 9 rounds in a row, 10 rounds in a row.
Riddle me this, hat man.
I'll riddle.
When Wolves did meet Virtus.pro on Villa, what side was the side that they got most of their 7-1 win?
I would say it was the attack. Was it the defense?
I don't know. I'm riddling you this.
I think it was.
I've got it written down. Apparently you don't.
I'm quickly following up on this.
Jesse, can you believe this? Jesse can't. He's shaking his head. He's disgusted at you, Hap.
I'm true.
The man is made of stats.
But yeah.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Okay, you keep looking. I'll go back into this as I make the point a bit more punctuating. It's a game of 2 halves here, and Joystick is going to see if he can try and lead in with some of the growth onto this opposite end. It's looking towards the break onto the wall. They have the support of the gunfight. A minute's gone, and they're at least making damage onto the same floor as the site itself, which you cannot really say for how things went before, but AVG, more common in terms of the attack, more common in terms of attacking this site specifically as well. How you draw yourself in and where you put this pressure.
I started doubting myself, but it was the attack pick up on.
Hey, it was the attack.
I was gonna say, it was the attack, right? I know you didn't say anything. It's like, am I starting to doubt myself?
I wanted you to be more confident in yourself.
Okay, my bad.
It was. So, ain't a bit of worry here. Obviously, the longer this goes in, that's the sort of follow-on point from your point is, it's not just a matter of this being a map. It's also that sort of double down of the more that things go away from them here, the more it's like, uh-oh, this is going away from us.
Shield has been taken down, so it will lighten up the defenses slightly. Always, you have no idea what's coming for you. Tyrant finds him as he was about to pull the grenade out, and again, an entry for the side of MNM. Another one to follow up, but Solita finds a kill, and VP just falling apart here as they try to wrap themselves around the site. Another one to come through. The drone actually distracts him, and Pasha finds a kill.
Now, with it slightly pulled back, but still the pressure of time onto the 3 remaining players. Can Dan, with the darker B that was obviously removed from the previous map, make some use of it? Heavy hits of the rifle. Can't quite get the full connection. Pasha's trying to put pressure underneath. Tyrant is on a bit of a hunt of their own. Pasha seems aware. Very well aware. 3 versus 3, 30 seconds. Dan caught crossing the site, a bit blind there. Hope to get in towards the opposite end. Shepard now slowed by the smoke. They can't make any motions behind it. 20 seconds, and it's a very long one when you're looking at one more smoke canister. They've just got to take the damage, but they rotate onto stock. And there it is. Swung round a study even. And users getting one more across. MNM, 9 rounds in a row.
Potentially counting. And they got some quick control here, Virtus.pro, right? Like, they managed to get the bedrooms under control, they managed to get Trophy under control quite quickly. They started pushing through towards 90, but what is it? Is a drone game that kind of missed 2 opportunities there, not knowing where these players were. First of all, Tyrant, of course, it's the Solas, has the opportunity to see these drones and dodge them. And then Solotov being on an aggressive angle as well. And of course, Pashi managed to bring it back. He managed to find those 2 kills. But in the end, that first kill, so unnecessary as an entry death. They needed to be aware of that. And this is when I start to worry for the side of Virtus.pro. He just lost 2 of those rounds. As just mentioned, it won 5 rounds against Wolves in the attack.
They did.
So we need to make sure that they pick up rounds quickly, because otherwise it's just going away from them really quickly here. And VP, we've praised them so much throughout their tournament so far, and we saw them drop off slightly over the last couple of days, but they don't want to go out with a 7-0 and like a 7-1, 7-2, or 7-3. They want to go out fighting if they go out.
You wanna hit every map. You want to make sure that regardless of your performance, whether you end up going out in phase 1 or phase 2 or phase 3, nobody wants it to be a whimper. You want to have your best game as your sort of last game, because then you can sort of leave and go, well, we were playing our best game. Like, we brought it and it didn't quite connect, but we know how we can improve. We've set our benchmark. This is where we can go from it. The other way around is sometimes that tougher take of we know what we were capable of and we couldn't keep up that level. And it's still early. It's obviously still early. It's early on this map. It's Villa. If you were to just look at this as a best of one and MNM have won their first 2 defenses, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's it, right? Like, if it's just this map, it's like nothing to worry about yet. But it's the fact that it's 9 rounds in a row so far, and VP haven't been able to strike back, which is what worries us. Solotov aggressive again. He's not willing to yield any bit of ground as Laser Gate gets removed. They're trying to deal with the castle barricades now, and that's going to be forcing Solotov to play a bit more careful. He can no longer use that rotation as freely as he did before, and the Candelas now starting to come through are supposed to be helping VP taking the ground they desperately need.
They hoped a player was a bit stuck inside. They didn't quite get the kill on the back of it, but they did get the territory, and that's the important part, because with the openings onto the site wall, users should not be alive, let's be honest. Double rotate either side. Not sure if he heard a reload and took a chance and an opportunity, but either way, especially when you're sort of holding off the cut of the angle there with a gun with 81 bullets in, you really should have got the confirm.
That air jab kind of didn't go where they wanted it to go. Joystick down below. Nello's waiting patiently. That's going to be that bit of a hunt downstairs below. Always now coming in with these grenades. Needs to be careful to not actually bounce it too early, because otherwise that would have killed Joystick. Doesn't find anything. Uses with the C4 will find Dan. However, an entry kill again goes to MNM. And Pasha now trying to make something happen with these Candelas, but very much afraid of someone pushing up. Users just barely lives.
That's twice Users should be dead. And that one, okay, you can't really fault the player. It's just did what he needed to do. He's close with a deagle, holding onto the angle, hoping he doesn't get full blind. Fires a single shot across, and he just runs through, does get picked up elsewhere. But Solotov gets one on the background. Tyrant gets one more of the swing, and Pasha's looking every single direction for a fight. They're able to find the rotate up the stairs. 20 seconds, a 3 versus 2. They're putting pressure towards it, but look what they don't have. The diffuser. They've got to try and make this as an aggressive angle fight here. They've got to try and find the players. Always has gone for the recollection around the bedroom itself. Tyrant picks up them, and Solotov picks up 3 in a row on this map. The perfect site rotation. When do you call your timeout?
The red pings are coming through as well. MNM fully aware of what the play was there in that 2v3 situation. And again, VP, like, they tried to take some early ground. I mentioned it before, like, you are relatively quickly into the site here, because all you need to take is the walking closet, the bathroom. You find yourself an Astro and you have the door to both those sides. And they managed to get into that room. They managed to get some kills out there as well. But again, players around on the flanks, on off angles they were unaware of, picking them up. Whilst the information game of MNM has been sublime so far. And as I say, let's go. That is 10 rounds in a row for MNM against Virtus.pro right now. And we're back towards the bottom floor. We're back towards the kitchen. And this is where they mostly struggle with time on the side of VP. 20 seconds left, 3 players up on the top floor, and they're like, oh, we might need to go down.
This is going to be a fresh test. Or maybe it's probably a test as well.
Okay.
I don't know if they're listening. What's the most amount of rounds in a row a team has won in a best of 3? Have we? I don't think we've ever had a 7-0-7-0 in terms of majors. We probably had it somewhere in the system.
Somewhere in the circuit.
What's the most amount of rounds a team has been in? And that's a big question. That's not one that
it is. I was just quickly checking this, Jesse, looking it up right now.
I mean, they might be. It's not an easy one. Oh, that's not an easy one either. Joystick takes a lot of damage. Nafe does deal a bit, but gets some back against him. Doesn't get the kill. However, you're looking at a buck on a vertical take. You've got a sledge still they're soft. Remember how we talked about how dangerous that was before. This time with 1 impact and 2 C4s still on the board. Again, any of that hits the buck as soon as they start trying to make some distance. Things are in a bit of a nightmare position.
Oh, to jump in right afterwards. Nafe, are you aware the impact will get the Selma, but he will find and lose his life for it. So the entry now will be for Virtus.pro, and this might be that bit of momentum they need in a round to continue on strong.
there has been 7070 all the way back in DreamHack 2018 winter.
That's a very long time, all right.
Oh, it's Mini Golf Gutter. Of course it is. Outside of Mini Golf Gutter, that doesn't count.
I like how you instantly went like, oh, it has happened. Oh, but it was Mini Golf
It was Mini Golf Gutter.
It's a very legendary team name, by the way.
Team name.
A lot of people know him.
Okay. Nate, gone. Obviously, the Legion was playing a very loose game, and Nello as a mirror on the chance on the swing round. It's not the quickest, but it is one that, well, might have a bit of impact here. Does not have the C4 to loop out. The call is going. They don't want to take the fight. They're winning it elsewhere. Why would you? There's two more on the back of the board. Solotov and uses a gun, and they break this deadlock. They have so much time. They have so much ground. They have so much damage done. And look at the separation between Tyrant and Nello. Nello buried the back of the corner of the site itself towards China. Tyrant trying to get some retake over the top. Oh, cannot win it out. Joystick, sharp as you like, is able to tear the head off of the player. And for what has been a flawless run around so far, ends in a flawless round for Virtus.pro. Their first over the showdown comes on the 11th hour.
All right. It's actually, yeah, the 11th round. Very nice.
Thank you. It's my job.
Overall so far, with the 11 rounds we've had, Emmy, 9 entry kills went to MNM, only 2 went to Virtus.pro. They got quite close in both those rounds. Especially that one round, they just managed to get a flawless round. So well done there, managed to find those roamers this time around, managed to actually shut them down, and most importantly, they kept their tactical timeout. They haven't had to use it yet, which means that if they are able to get back into the saddle right now and find themselves with a second or even a third round for the half, they can use it when times do get desperate, when MNM does manage to reach the 5 or 6 mark even, and it's time to slow them down and get a talk.
Rotating the site, heading to AVG. And I said it at the time, Kitchen isn't really a lot of teams' first picked site. No, it's sometimes the team's second pick, you could go as far as to say. But, you know, sort of playing it at rotation, I think moving on to AVG where they had it before. Though, when we were here with Virtus.pro last time, they did get themselves into site. They were putting pressure onto it, which is cleaner than some of their first 3 executes. However, losing the ground on study, losing the ground on the backside of the site of where they were trying to put their push onto the red door, they just did not have enough control of the rest of the map.
Changing mix.
Time to change that. Let's see if they can take that earlier control quickly, but also keep the information game up, because that was on point in that last round. It's been lacking in the other rounds we have seen so far from them today. As there are some red pings going through, it's Dan actively on the drone out here, spotting out a player. And that is something we like to see. They need to keep that up. They need to shepherd out these players as they go through. And as successfully they're doing so far, it's Tyrant actually with a jump out that will find always as an entry kill yet again for the side of MNM.
Yeah,
it's a very long one as well.
I mean, the classic P90 pop out, instantly pop back by something just as classic, Joystick. Getting the head of a player. Playing the Iana, playing that aggressive lead-in role here. The Buck is off the board, the one that they were playing just before. There's not as much soft to try and take through here, but when you're sort of going for this clear slightly underneath, you might appreciate being able to get it from underneath. You're looking at mirror windows. You're looking at those hefty walls now where a Buck would make it done in a second. Now it's going to have to be a little bit more precise.
Very much aware of the fact that living in library seems to be clear. No one out there for now, and might actually get some grenades to come in from below very soon. If they want to go for the rotate around, Pasha is just getting on the drone right now, making sure that the top 4 can actually start doing some extra work out here, setting up the flank drones as well as Joystick goes fishing, but completely blind. There's nothing there to back it up. So 1 grenade fails, the second will as well. There's no pieces of utility found on the back of those grenades.
Ooh, but they
what a
do
shot.
find Tyrant Pasha. And I said he's a player that when he builds momentum can be absolutely phenomenal. Could not find anything on Chalet. So for him to really start getting into this game and warming up, that is a huge sign for VP. Solotov shuts him down. But still done a bit of damage, pulls himself back, and Joystick wins out the next engagement. They've got the pressure onto the door itself, the 3 versus 2. They have the man advantage. They have 40 seconds, not the biggest amount of time. And Users is looking for maybe somewhere he can go here. Shepard's going to go for the plant. The C4 is thrown over the top, gets shot out, and the cover is perfect, as he has been this round. The swing Fire's a bit too high. Fire's a bit too shaky. There's down on the back end. Gets the down. Gets one. There's the drop on the player who planted. There's almost the second. Pops with the pistol and uses with the last second reload. They're holding the angle. Oh, no. They're able to just get themselves tucked in and reloaded. 1 tick. 2. There's the hold. There's the death.
Well done by VP there. They find themselves a second round. Again, commanding the space they need, finding the trade kills when necessary, and just, I mean, that little bit of trust to come through here. Yes, the C4 flew through. Yes, they went off the plans, but it didn't go hunting after that. Instantly back up, making sure that the timer counts in your advantage here. Starting with that jump out, finds the one. Some good shots to be returned, though, by the side of Virtus.pro. As they find themselves with a second round. And that second round is so much more important than many of you might believe, because it gives them that buffer. The extra bit of space for error. I'm not even sure if he would have stuck it, if it would have been enough.
I mean, it's one of those...
It would have been very close, but it's like, you want to take that fight at that point. You're in a 1v2, you know you're going to be swung at. It's those difficult decisions you have to make in the moment there as a player. And sometimes they work, and sometimes they don't. But you're not supposed to be winning a situation like that, a 1v3 post.
Shaking things up, but just a little, towards kitchen, the place where, well, the deadlock was finally broken in terms of the opposite of a deadlock, really. They were locked dead on every single round until they got a flawless here before. Virtus.pro might be able to get themselves an even half, which 2 rounds ago seemed a little unlikely. MNM, it's not that they've entirely stepped their foot off the gas. I think Virtus.pro have just massively stepped it up over this past couple rounds, not just in terms of their coordination, but their ferocity on these gunfights. The sharpness that we're getting from them was something we were drastically missing in Chalet.
For sure, a lot of... Ooh, Nate! It just jumps through, Nate!
Whoops.
There you go. We saw it happen live, POV from the clutch drone. How he did like 60 damage.
Like he was like,
there.
It's like, wait, I gotta watch. Wait, I gotta watch.
We gotta watch this happen. That's a call out. Oh, that's the Legion down on 40% right now, so we don't need to worry about him that much anymore.
Tyrant. Keeping himself tucked just above. Remember the sort of pick apart of the players. We saw MNM go for something a bit looser, a bit wilder last time we were here, and they lost out on those 1 versus 1s. They lost out on those engagements that were stretched around the map itself. This time they've held themselves closer together. They're more ready for the refrags, the fight game that they want to draw as a team. I think they've realized just how Virtus.pro has started to heat up, and they said, well, let's try and do our best to slow that down, especially here if we can get the 4-2 on our defense. Nafe is the one still partially injured, the only one so far inside the site. And the first fight is Joy6, tucked around, puts Solotov out. They're gonna hope that they maybe don't get caught out by Tyrant, who's holding on. The pressure's on to Users next.
Users gonna be careful here because they might have seen you out there. He strikes, finds one, and at the same time Tyrant will find Joystick as well. That is gonna be the member advantage again towards MNM. Always very close to another player of MNM as well as Nello. On one, finds Nave though as he's rotating around. Nello just stays put as he's going to go on hunt, but the drone spots him out just in time.
Last possible second there, still takes the rotate, and a DMR is trickier to catch a player in that situation than an SMG or an AR, so doesn't double dip. 40 seconds, just about, as they start to angle up in towards Laundry, in towards the side of the site, and the statue M. Dan doesn't just want to move in by himself. The smokes are covering that mirror window on the back of China, and with Shepard offering some support, they're trying to work out, is it safe enough to plant? The answer is probably still, unfortunately, no, as Nello's about to prove. There's the swing, gets the down, not the confirm, onto the player. The crossfire comes from the statue area. Tyrant gets 2, always gets 1 before Nello ends the round. And MNM, importantly, get one back here in the 4-2 half.
They break that momentum again. They're making sure VP is unable to secure themselves that even split. That would have been oh so valuable for them. And Nello, he's feeling it. He's knowing how close they are of making it to the main stage. 3 rounds is what's separating them and going to phase 3. Continuing onwards, and Tyrant unseen. Again, the information game from VP has been the reason why MNM has been able to get this many kills from the flank. You dare to say it's not even flank, it's sometimes just hiding in some, you know, cheeky spots, just waiting for them to walk by as you pick them up. And just a simple drone would have prevented so many deaths over this past half. But they don't need to worry about that now. As they're on the defense, they can start playing those spots.
Now, as we get maybe an instant return to an even half here. We talked about the Wolves game. We talked about how powerful it was for Virtus.pro on their attack. They did predominantly better, but we didn't really see much of their defense. Technically, it was a flawless. They got the 2 rounds they needed in the first 2, and then the game was done, put to bed. Here it would bring them back level, but from that point, Virtus.pro, for the first time since a long time ago, would have been able to get themselves balanced in this showdown.
That's what they're aiming for. Of course, they'll be taking this round by round. So not by looking at the macros right here, being like, we need to get like 3 rounds in like the next 4 to find ourselves in a good position. Round by round. Take it with small steps, because as soon as you start looking at the bigger picture, you start getting overstimulated, it starts to just all get away from you here. And as that is always finding himself taken down by users and the DMR, that's not the best of starts of this first round of the round-by-round basis.
No, I would describe it as the worst.
That's a bad start, yes.
Joystick, under a bit of pressure, is able to drop out before he entirely gets closed down. A bit of a risky move here, as Pasture's going to see if he can get his slick way back in, and all the VP players are now pushed back in towards the site itself within a minute. How quickly MNM realized this is the difference between them getting in and getting themselves set up for the pressure. Obviously, they saw the drop down happen, and with the pressure that they put on towards Mudroom, you know, it's always that risky move by Virtus.pro.
Now, the diffuser is not in hand currently from MNM, but that's by choice, because they don't want a single player to be caught off with that diffuser in hand and then having to go for a recovery run. So, those of you at home, do not worry about it just yet.
They know.
They know. They're aware of this. They're first going to be trying to get some control, and as Tyron does so first, takes a couple of shots, takes a little bit of damage. Might have actually been an EDD as well that he just walked through as the recovery now comes through, and that means the site is going to be pushed very soon here by the side of MNM.
A lot of utility is removed there. We saw the strategy table get entirely blown up by a Flores drone. There is a frost mat on the default plant spot.
Yes.
And there is a cap can on Nello. There he is. That is that bit of danger. Cap can.
That's the diffuser now.
Relevant. Now the diffuser is lost. A little bit far away. On walking as well.
Yeah, that's quite far away. And
not a door he needed to take either. I think they'd already opened up the bedroom.
A lot of control out there, but either way, that's a kill. They managed to find a grenade. Will strike one, almost for a second, potentially. Depends on if he moves the right direction. No. Still a man advance for MNM, though. They managed to recover that one. The diffuser is back in hand as well with Tyrant, who's finding himself on 90. Having the opportunity and the luxury to choose between the 2 options, but the frost mat inside the corner is still out there. Spotted and taken down. Do they know about the frost mat? It doesn't seem like Solotov is looking at it right now, because he's trying to take the fight, but Dan shuts him down first. No, the frost mat! We're calling out so many times before, and it finds the diffuser and the confirm from Dan.
15 seconds. Users has to try and rotate and offer support if they want to try and head down this, but Shepard still has a smoke canister in pocket as well. There's Users with that huge bit of cover. The smoke gets thrown. He gets his rotate. He's not able to stop the plant. He does catch the player with the cover. A 1 versus 1. He's going to open himself his own route round. The Clutch Master, who's done so much, cannot quite get that connection. And Nafe, he's keeping a cool face, as you can hear his teammate around him. It's not every day that you get into a 1 versus 1 with Shepard. It's not every day you win him.
It's definitely not every day. Oh, that Frostman, that could have been so detrimental out there if it wasn't for the sharp gunners on the side of MNM to just clutch it out right afterwards. It's like we called it out, like multiple times in the round, and they just seem to have been unaware of it. Oh, a beautiful opening by Users there. Read the situation perfectly. Solotov here as well. Good information, or at least good instincts on where the player would be. Just that translation into that afterwards as well. Overall, good game knowledge coming through from the side of MNM, or reading the situation well. Allows them to be up 5-2. So no flawless defensive half to come down from Virtus.pro either. That's been checked off, or basically deleted from the notebook.
MNM are but 2 rounds away from taking the series, and 1 from putting that huge bit of serious pressure towards their opponents and themselves in this game. To be fair, it's that awkward position when you're this close to confirming yourself to the main stage. When you're this close to taking out a team who, well, 2 maps ago from them, they were considered favorites, or one of them, to potentially do some damage. 2 maps later, here they are, almost 2 maps down.
Getting close to it at least. And they need to fight back. They still have a tactical timeout in their pockets, Virtus.pro, so I assume that gets taken if they lose one more round, as that would be potential end of things. Dan, aware of the fact that someone's on the balcony, Solotov going for a rotation, seems to be aware of Dan as well. Opens up on the door. It's gonna be a bit of a bluff out here. Grenade going to be bounced around the corner. I think Dan is just far enough back. Yes. He's now fully aware of the fact that they know where he is.
That's entirely it. Solotov is pretty much stating, we know you're here. We're not going to throw ourselves into this fight, and we've got the pressure and support of our team. You might not. You've got to pull yourself back, and there you can see, as always, slips away. Dan doesn't, so he has to go. You can waste this time, though. And if you get to drone in the meantime, as the pressure hits against Walkin, angles towards the bathroom. Well, here's Dan in a slightly different position. Just misses the rotate. The drone rolls out. Will they think that AVG is clear? That's what Dan is banking on right now.
MNM need to be very careful with their droning out here, and you see Tyrant doing exactly that. That's a smoke, just punching the table there, spotting there's an actual drone right underneath it as well, and as the rotation from Solotov comes around, he doesn't want to take that fight, he doesn't want to take that risk. They'd much rather have the 5-on-5 odds onto the actual direct side to try and make a play happen out there. It's going to be an EMP coming down on the Echo drone out there. Another RC Rotero taking out lots of utility, I believe. Yeah,
what
look
a
at that.
journey that Rotero went on. All the way around, was able to drift past about 3 different players. Pasha is now the one in 90. Dan's fallen his way back to site because, well, if you're playing the Warden role, you got to make sure you're in a place you can be the biggest impact. The calls come out. They've got half an isolation onto the single player just on the right-hand side. They're going to maybe dip into the fight. No. They think better of it because, well, there's a minute left. And although they've got a shield that's putting pressure onto the bedroom door and leaning their way in, there's not much else they can really do. The Echo's looking for the fight. The grenade does a lot of damage to Always, but doesn't confirm the kill. Nello's playing a dangerous game here, but Tyrant plays another one. Gets Pasha, gets that loose player, drops to the rotate, 40 seconds. Now, as the pings are coming continually, they're looking for the spray fight round on the side. Solotov's still underneath. They're going for the rotate back onto the split. There's a fight on the stairs he didn't expect. And a 5 versus 3. Solotov knocking on the door. Tyrant gets one more. Always finally goes down. There's a flawless round. And MNM are 1 round away.
A clinical round from them. They were aware of the player on the main stairs. They decided to not take the fight, to not take the risk, and instead move themselves over towards the side. And as they did, they start picking them up one by one in basically their backs. They didn't even realize that they were being pushed at the time because the pressure was coming down from elsewhere. And now the tactical timeout has been called. 45 seconds for Virtus.pro to make a final decision, make a final chat happen. Because if you lose one of the next 4 rounds, Emmy, they are going home. And MNM would continue to phase 3. And after VP, they started off so strong in their phase 2. Everybody would have expected them to at least give it a run at that final phase to see if they could finally get another title for those players. And as the tech timeout runs out, you see the smiles on the side of MNM. They know it is within reach. They know they are getting close to qualify themselves. And what can you do as Virtus.pro? You start looking at it. Seems like they're going Aviator. Seeing some information to be played with the Valkyrie out there. You do not see it yet, but I'm just spoiling the surprise out there. And again, it's not like they're playing things wrong. It is just MNM is so on top of their own game that it's very difficult to keep up with them right now. And yes, there is slight mistakes in terms of droning when they were on the attack.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Don't suffer as much of that right now. But again, seeming unawareness sometimes of where the players are coming from hurts them. So they need to pull it back a bit tighter here. Play on contact, play together. Make sure you have those trades if a push does come to shove from the side of MNM. Because sooner rather than later, it will happen. A glass on the board. Capital.
I mean, we'll see how they can try and put this to bed. MNM feels like they want to do it a little bit swift with how they've got themselves set up here for this pressure. Obviously, they've played a brilliant series so far. And it's not entirely over yet. There was the timeout, there was the conversation. Can they turn it into an actualization on this showdown?
Solotov, I believe, calling someone being aware or being present at the top of the main stairs. He was looking for a fight, but then decided against it, and it is going to be Shepard with that shotgun. It's very difficult to get a smoke player out of this position. You basically need to use grenades, flashbangs, RC retailers, maybe even the fire arrows that come together with the side of the Capitao to remove that one player from the power position. But as soon as you do, you can start flooding all the way around the site. You can start getting yourself all around it and locking in the last VP players. You're differentiating you and going through phase 3.
4 opportunities here for MNM. And the first will start, as you said, with this cover, and there's no Warden to potentially cover this plant. I said they're an important operator. Sometimes highlighted as a main character in a role here, and this time without it, well, they're without it. The drop of the disc. Another one instantly appeared in place, and they can sort of keep running around this. The barb will get caught. That disc should be fine, and it is. At what point do they try and maybe get the catch and the kill, or to play with a nade?
Very long angle from users here, all the way from Piano, looking towards the main stairs. Prepared himself for a bit of an aggressive swing from Shepard to shut him down instantly. The first smoke canister pops, so for the attack, so the Glass has opportunity to start looking for those yellow outlines.
He's hoping to get either loose side. There's another throw around there. The Glaz, one of the few operators with frags, isn't quite able to get anyone on the close door. Virtus.pro do not want to hand them anything. They know the importance of this first kill. There's the grenade, bounce around on the stairs, almost gets Shepard, and look at that, all of Shepard's canisters are gone. Their only instant response to a smoke canister has been removed. From this now, a bit of fire's popped inside, and Virtus.pro still just sit and wait. Close fight, and Solotov wins it out. The secondary of the Glaz, they've been talked about as an entry, and he's been talked about as a huge player, but where does he go to next? There's still the players inside.
He just saw the arm of the smoke get through the wall out there, so he's aware of the fact he's right behind the bar right now, so he calls that out. He's letting his team know we need to deal with this situation soon, but there's also still roamers around. It's Dan holding a very tight angle. Joystick finds one. It's Tyron did not quite get picked up. He's continuing onwards through the site, but it's VP to strike all over as it's only up to Nello now with 5 seconds left on the clock, and it seems like they will hang on for at least one round here. As they lost the very first, they managed to just waste enough time and force MNM to go for a Hail Mary push. Being struck from multiple directions, and that brings it down to 3.
Even with the first round, the pressure's still on. As I said, it's not just the pressure onto Virtus.pro to play a flawless game from this point onwards to see if they can try and lock it out, but also for MNM to just push it over the edge. You are the closest to success. You're in the proverbial 1 versus 5, or the 5 versus 1 here, MNM. And, well, we've seen it go down. That was like a comedy double dance.
I mean, sometimes players check for the sake of checking, right? And then they go back and, oh wait, there was a person there. And then they quickly go back. But it's like the amount, like the reaction speed of these players that is like that quick. Seems like they're almost styling on the player out there at that point. 6-3, and the Kitchen is on the board.
Yeah, they're not going to double down with Statry. They're going to try and rotate onto Kitchen instead. They, I mean, got lucky with the cap cans, keep that going. They've met a Monty they didn't want to meet again.
No.
Which is very fair enough.
5 seconds remaining.
Some frost mat downs as well. Didn't really work out in the end, but I mean, just bring it back, right?
If there's anything MNM is suffering from, it's those trap tangles. It's those lead-ins here, and I'm curious what the take's going to be. They've got Tyron on the Brava. They've got some of this pressure across. It looks like they want to have these gunfights rather than a traditional take, I say in quotation marks, as they did in the previous round. With the Glaz and the smokes, they sort of knocked that off and said, why are we doing that? Let's just finish this.
Dan just giving away his position out there by firing back through the window. Capcan traps are being hacked. Now, they should be aware of that as there was a clutch drone right next to them as it got taken down. So I believe Shepard most likely will have secured them already. A default cam as well has been taken care of. So there is some information feeding into the sides of MNM now around the site itself.
Dan is holding the fight here, and Solotov kind of wants to take it. He's drawing attention, obviously, of a player, but he cannot just take this by himself, or at least he doesn't want to. A Bravo drone gets caught out, getting some reconnaissance elsewhere, and won't quite have the impact they're hoping towards it as Solotov goes for the rotate towards the site. There was a player that just crouched, keeping an eye, heard the noise, heard the audio, will be calling that to the rest of the team as the pressure comes across the top here.
I believe that's 3 Capcan traps taken care of now. 2 were hacked, 1 got shot. Maybe some on the opposite sides that we didn't quite see yet, as they need to go for a double impact to make sure that that second Selma doesn't pop. That's going to be quite expensive for the side of Virtus.pro. But again, it wastes time. That's all they need. They just need the time to work in their favor here. And thus they start falling back towards the side. Just a couple of, well, somewhat passive-aggressive angles to be held by them as a grenade almost takes care of Joystick.
Yeah, Solotov is still around that area, putting that pressure down, and Joystick is getting himself a safe route out. However, as you said, time is that essence. Time is that proverbial waste. They're trying to find a way through just into a single Virtus.pro player, and we have most of them here on site. Dan is still loose somewhere, potentially causing trouble. They're trying to hope that they don't get caught by this grenade roll to the back, but otherwise Joystick has long since pulled back. Virtus.pro, again, they're not handing MNM an engagement. They're doing their best to long this out as long as possible.
The aware of always, though, as they've opened up, it doesn't seem to be the case as the Doan watch the right angle. Tyrant gets picked up. That's the entry kill they need. Solotov finds his death as well, and it leaves it up to the 3 members of MNM as a Frostmat strikes yet once more. And it seems like VP might be able to, again, extend their stay by a round as the diffuser is now down, and always is watching it from below with the Deagle, hoping to find a final member of MNM.
Usus down there in another engagement. And we just see another round slip away from MNM. They're going to take a moment to cool things down because, well, it's cautious. It's a little bit more filled with mistakes than we've seen them. Otherwise, up to this point, 4 VP players still alive. And now, those 4 rounds they had have been halved as a chance of locking this out.
And that's it. So they need to slow it down. Sure, timeout. Yeah, timeout is being called by MNM as well. It doesn't all come down to this round because they still have another opportunity, but this is their best chance. They're headed towards trophy. They found massive success out there, a flawless round. So they need to make sure that happens again. Just repeat that success. But let's have a quick talk to take them out of their momentum and to bring us back into our focus. As that's all we need, 1 more round, and we're at the main stage. That's what all this team plays for. They just want to get to that main stage and then give a shot for the trophy.
Obviously, VP have this opportunity to talk as well, work things out amongst themselves and say, look, this is what's going well. We can try and build behind it. Their previous timeouts actually haven't netted them any successes throughout this series so far. It's been a little bit more of a mixed bag. Can the Magic Man, Julio, be that difference maker?
We're all waiting to see now. As we'll most likely head back towards Trophy. Aviator and Kitchen are both locked. They cannot play them. So Library or Trophy are the 2 options that are available to the side of Virtus.pro.
I could make an educated guess.
I can make an educated guess as well, also because we have a second screen that kind of tells us.
Okay. Oh, we're already there.
Yeah, it's Trophy.
It's Trophy. I mean, you know, living room library at this point.
That's a big risk to take.
Big risk, because remember, MNM weren't entirely pacey on this clear. They've gone back in with the shield at this point. Virtus.pro have pulled away from the Echo. They've pulled away with those sort of angles and holds. You've got Dan once again playing the Warden role. He wasted a lot of time out here on the far end.
No Capcans, no Frosts, no traps at all.
10 seconds to insertion.
Those have been hurting MNM a lot, and whilst it might have not directly translated into rounds, it's definitely been helping Virtus.pro to drag it across the finish line for most of those rounds.
Objective is to locate a bomb and defuse
Maybe
it.
some C4s from below. I mean, there's 2 in pocket. You have the Black Eyes available on Pasha, of course. They put them in right positions. They might be able to find Nello or some other players. But again, yes, do we get to see the fight on the opposite side? It seems to be the case. Solotov again going to be challenging Dan out here. Surely they're going to be aware of each other's existence
I mean,
out here. It's been like the last 4 rounds.
It's almost like they write to each other before. It's like, meet
1v1 study.
Instairs? Yeah, KK. on my way. And it's been every single time. And they, you know, how much is it a good thing here for Solotov? And I think that's the point. If he gets the kill, fantastic. Yeah. But Dan's not handing it to them. Virtus.pro haven't been handing it to him. I know I've pointed out a couple of times here, they're playing together. They're playing a bit cautious. They're playing into Villa, which is what you have to do, especially when it's your map at this point. They're stressing that time, stressing that pressure, and ultimately stressing and stretching MNM a bit here over the past 2 rounds. Dan gets pretty scraped up in an engagement with, I assume, Tyrant over on the opposite end. Users is getting everything droned out here. He's got his way back towards site, so he's quickly been pushed and shepherded away.
Yeah, of course, they were aware of him there as they took out the drone, so they knew someone was in 90, quickly put some damage towards him to keep him at bay, not let him feel too comfortable for the remainder of that round. As 90 seconds are left on the clock, some more information is being gained, and they're just trying to collect who exactly is on site, where are they playing, what do we need to pay attention to if we go for this push. And Pasha, still being around in Aviator Games, is going to be that bit of a flanking player, but it doesn't really seem like MNM is going to be giving into that for now, as they look to more so hit that side directly.
Yeah, they're trying to hit directly, but you have to be cautious underneath. Obviously, if you're playing a Monty and you sort of say about it, well, it's going to be a bit of a blow. The bandit trick is also one as well. In a fell swoop, things have started to drift away once again here on this round for MNM. Nello, he's trying to get his hop in here, but Virtus.pro have stepped up over the past couple of rounds, and here MNM, they got 50 seconds. They don't have a body. They've lost the kill from the back of it. The grenade over the top to get rid of the utility. Solotov wants to lean into the fight, but they're close to his right, and he can't quite win it out. He took a bit of damage over on the split, and they find Shepard. The trick is just going to be in time, as is Dan with the cover on the swing. And here, Virtus.pro, they're a little bit late to the party, but they've shown up when they needed to most and look ready to take this to just 1 round away from OT.
Basically handing MNM the experience they received themselves onto their own attacks. They're catching them off guard, playing in these off angles that aren't really expected by the attackers, and they just keep finding these kills like 1, 2, 3, and there you go. That's the round confirmed for their side. And now there's one more opportunity left for MNM to lock it off now before we head to overtime, before Virtus.pro has the opportunity to get back into this game and possibly push yourselves towards a map number 3. And it is going to be Aviator available to them and Library available to the side of Virtus.pro. Now again, we can take an educated guess. Probably will be Aviator Games.
You would assume.
You would assume it would be.
You would assume.
And we have seen an effective round out there from the side of MNM. They managed to get the plan down. They managed to get that 1v1 post plan to happen. Seems like we might be headed for a quick rehost here, because there seems to be some issues, some tech issues again. And that means we get some time to talk. We get some time to discuss. Not the players, but we do.
We do.
What's at stake here exactly? Top 8 at the major. The Blaster 6 major in Copenhagen.
It is.
And for the losing team is going to be some tickets home, which of course you do not want to win.
No.
Usually when you're in a game show and you win like an all-inclusive trip to whatever place, you'll be very happy with it. Not this case though. I'd rather stay here.
Yeah, the tickets home that you want are usually adorned with
a trophy.
Probably the 8th or maybe even the 9th written on them to give you an extra day to celebrate in whatever manner you wish. It's tense, because obviously it's tense for MNM here, because there is nothing worse than being in a situation like this where you know you could have pushed it over the line and haven't been able to. Oh no, wait. There's one thing worse, which is that happens, and then suddenly you're in map 3, and then that one goes away from you. Because that round, that 6-4 to a 6-3 to a 6-2, the further back you get, the more of a nightmare that round becomes, and that is something that will eat at you all throughout the 3rd map if we end up there. So, you could not have a rockier situation right now for the Marshmallows and the Molotovs.
Or the Solotovs.
Or the Solotovs. He is part of the Marshmallows and the Molotovs.
Yes.
Sometimes he is all of them. On the other side, Virtus.pro.
Yeah.
A team with players that have been on the grandest of stages, a team with players that have experienced the highs and the lows. They've experienced winning and losing things by single round differences. They've gone through the pain.
And that's what I said as well. Like, if there's a team in this matchup that has the experience to come back from like a 7-0 and then a 6-2 like deficit, Virtus.pro have that experience. They know what it's like to be behind. They know what it's like to make a comeback happen. And for MNM, you know, yes, they have experience as well, but like arguably less so than VP. So they might be a bit more nervous about this one. And you mentioned it like previous cast. The most difficult rounds are the first round to win and the last one to lock it all off. Especially if it's do or die. That last one to lock it off, that is just so difficult. And if you start looking at it, round 8, 6-2 by a flawless round from MNM to come in. And after that, Virtus.pro just showed up and they didn't leave. And MNM have been unable to put the dent into the defenses that they require to get the plan down on the ground. So as it seems like we are headed back in. I see some very careful smiles on the face of Dan right there, knowing that they're about to be making up that big deficit they had.
I mean, even if they pull it at this point, you're still looking at a rough chance. Hey, I'm gonna wait for this to be locked. I'm writing this in pencil before it's etched in pen. I said MNM try to play a specific sort of playbook play, and it didn't quite work. And then since then, things have been a bit off the rails. I don't think you can get more playbook play than the Blitz, Glaz, Sense, smoke-covered, quick drive push towards the site than right now.
Now, this is risky, and I've mentioned this before. If you are the shot caller in your team, and you're 6-5 up, you've just lost 3 match points, and you have 1 more available before we head to OT, do you call a rush? Do you call a quick play? Do you deviate from what worked before? And the call here seems to be yes. But we don't know yet. They might still go for a very slow push, but it will be backed off as soon as they go for the actual push with those smokes, with those light screens, with the Blitz pushing through. But we usually see this, you know, a round like this end in like a minute.
That's the gamble right now. MNM might find themselves in overtime. They might find themselves in map 3. For them, there is actual procedural elements to how things can get worse. For Virtus.pro, it is do or die. And if they can get the first foot in here on this take, it could be that difference maker. We hear the Gon 6 pop some utility on the backside. The roll of the Sense gadget across, the Blitz all the way to the top. Solotov takes some damage. Nello as well. It's always with the C4 that gets Solotov. The Blitz is able to get one. Nafe gets another over the shoulder as well. A lot of damage. The C4s have both been utilized. They're still covering pressure into the site itself, but they've fallen back. The 3 remaining Virtus.pro players have some pings on the players itself. The 4 versus 3 isn't the end of the world, especially with how close Nello is to death, but they've lost the smoke. They've lost a lot of their stopping power here. They're going to see if they can try and get a sneaky kill through the floor itself. But if a rotate comes out here from MNM, they're looking for an alternate angle.
Now, a minute 30, always going on the hunt, spots out the Blitz, should be able to find a kill, but falls back. They have no idea on how low he is. He shouldn't really be a threat at this point anymore. Counting down still, the drones are starting to come through. They need to find an opening now. Luckily, within a minute, they managed to find all and every single player of VP back into the site. And as these Selmas all get taken down, Tyrant doesn't have any left, and that means that that vault stays closed, I believe.
Nope, that was the third.
That's the third one, yes.
The third was just able to make impact, and they're all out of impact, so it's just down to holding on with the gunfights and fire they have left in their canisters, because as far as pocket utilities go, nothing remains for Virtus.pro. Nafe is trying to find a first fight, and MNM do not want to risk this engagement going against them. They don't have grenades. They don't have a lot to be able to pull off maybe some less dangerous takes. They've got to try and strong-arm their way through onto the side of the site, and with 30 seconds, and Nello being the tip of that, but with not much health, and the first smoke being a bit misthrown, the movement's already come past the stairs itself. The smoke go for the cover. They're trying to rotate around the blind from a bit of range, doesn't quite get the connection, but they're going to go up close towards Pasha. He takes damage and he goes down. The 4 versus 2. Dan and Always, all that's left to keep Virtus.pro fighting here in Copenhagen, but MNM, after a long while of trying from SI 2022 via Berlin, Jönköping and SI 23, they have always been a team from groups. And now, alongside Nello and the man that stands behind them, Julio, they can say with pride and honor, MNM are a main stage team.
Managed to play it well in that last round. They took a gamble and it worked out. They finally managed to break that streak VP was about to go back up on 2. But they qualify. And with that, we will throw you to a quick break.
I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone and affection, I summon and dub it. Cause I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone and affection, I summon and dub it. Why you be all on my line about nothing? Why won't you go get you $1 or something? Don't hang with it who line for nothing. I see that we different, you riding, I double. I don't do discussions on bragging about hundreds. Don't go to your places, I know that they sunken. Don't call me your brother, I barely could trust it. I talked to a shorty, she bagging the bucket. And I'ma need all of my dollars on corporate, so hand me the money, I divvy the pie. I'ma give all of my people a portion to build them a fortune. I'm flipping the ride. I can't be mixy when iffy the vibe. And 40 on 50 is really the time. Why are you all on my phone like you want me? Like you wasn't pushing the kid to the side. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling.
Molotovs and marshmallows. Nello. You kick things off with a very, very swift 7-0 victory in our very first map of the day. Take me back to that veto. Did it take you by surprise?
Not really. We knew their map pool is not the greatest for best of 3. We just focused on our maps, and they had to ban 2 maps because we played them. So that's it. Chalet was open, so we just picked it.
So ultimately, how were you able to beat the VP paradox, as Fresh likes to call it, the incredibly slow play style of them? Did you manage to catch their game versus G2?
I mean, yeah, they pretty much always play like similar play style, similar strat, similar everything. So we just kind of knew what they're gonna do, and they didn't really change for our game a lot. So we just played our game.
And you're now one of the 2 EU teams making it through to the finals at the Forum in Copenhagen. That's got to be a good feeling, right?
It's a good feeling. I've been waiting to play on the stage again for like 3, almost like 4 years. So I honestly cannot wait.
So the real question is, do you think an EU team will win the major?
I think EU is a pretty strong region, but obviously like siege, like it depends on the game day, it depends on so many stuff, so you never know.
And you had mentioned that, you know, it's been an exceptionally long time since you had played in front of a crowd on a stage. How about your teammates? How do you think they're going to be feeling performing in front of a crowd?
Oh, they're gonna love it. Last time I played was in Japan. They're gonna love it. They're gonna love it. It's the best thing ever. It's like why I do this for a living.
Is it going to be you and Julio kind of trying to keep them cool, calm, and collected, making sure nerves don't get the better of them?
Nah, there is no calm. Just scream, shout, have fun. That's basically it.
Well, on that note, I'm going to let you go scream, shout, have some fun, and celebrate with your teammates.
Thank you very much.
Boyos.
They did it.
They did.
The cute little
It's about
marshmallows.
time, eh?
It really is. We've been sat here for a long time on these desks wondering when MNM is going to make it to a main stage, and they have finally done it against none other than VP. Didn't look like the cleanest game, honestly, at the start, I think. Like, we were thinking this was going to be potentially a 14-0 at one point, Jesse.
Yeah, it was 10-0, and then VP.
got close.
But VP had they battled back, you know, and then we got a 4-2 split. And MNM, they started running away with it again. They got their second 3-round win streak in a row on this map. They went 3, dropped 2, won 3 again. They were feeling good, and then the TAC timeout came out from Virtus.pro, and we really started to see the beast come out of this team. They did a great job of battling things back. Felt like they were doing a good job catching players out, playing a little bit more aggressive on their roam, finding those off-site positions and getting a lot of value out of them. MNM tried some cheeky things, they tried some rush strats, and eventually the rush strats worked out for them. What else but a blitz sends glass push to end it out for
that
MNM.
last round. I mean, it was scary to watch, wasn't it? It was kind of scrappy. I was thinking there's a good chance we go to overtime here. After the initial push had been repelled by VP, you were thinking, where did he go from here? Blitz has got 1 HP, you've lost your glass. What are you actually going to do to be able to pull this one out of the bag? And it turns out MNM just took a step back, gave it a little bit of a moment to think, really evaluated. If you're a VP fan out there, you've got to be wondering why you took that time out so late, because we saw what an impact it had on the game. It would have been nice to see that come out a little bit earlier in the fixture for them, because then they may have had a little bit more legs for the rest of it. But MNM today, the better team.
Well, I know, gents, while we were talking about the map veto, it took us by surprise. But what do you make of the fact that Nello was like, you know what, we knew that their map pool wasn't necessarily the greatest, so we went into this looking pretty confident.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's obvious what VP's map pool is, right? And if you're studying this and you're coming into it, it's maybe not a surprise. I think the surprise is that a team at this level who won the EUL has such a bad map pool to begin with, right? I mean, everybody knows this, and Fresh has talked about it a ton up on the desk. You know, EUL's touched on it a lot, but it really is the main point of weakness for Virtus.pro. I don't like to pin an entire best of 3 on the map ban phase, but this one just felt so difficult from the outset.
A couple of players for me that have really lacked in performance in this series as well. On the side of VP, you've got to look at Joystick, you've got to look at Dan. Dan consistently one of the highest rated players in whatever tournament he's playing in, let alone on the team. Joystick as well has had a fantastic tournament so far. He was very highly rated in the first couple of play days, and they never really got activated here. On the flip side, who do we look to but Solo Solotov? Once again, top of the pops here. Had a great series, and particularly a good map there on Villa.
Solotov and Marshmallows, I think, is the name that we're going with now for the org. But coming on up, we're going to have Liquid versus Wolves. Jesse, give me your thoughts.
Well, right after that match ended, Julio, after celebrating with his team, went over to the Brazilians on the other side, gave each and every one of them a fist bump. I think there's a little BR solidarity, and I think they want to see all 4 Brazilian teams in the top 8. So I think Liquid, they're going to be pretty strong in this game.
Well, I'm super excited to dive into that one, but before we do, we'll be back after the break.